First of all, we're going to talk about introverts and our superpowers. I assume that a lot of people joining here are introverts. Drop it in the chat. Let me know if you identify as an introvert. I, for sure, am an introvert myself. I'll tell you more about it later. But the thing is, we have an advantage, and I want to really dive into it in this workshop, in this masterclass around networking. Then we're going to talk about the truth about career growth. And oh, I see Donald as an introvert. Oh my God, big introverts. Yes, hello. We're all introvert family, and we're going to be demystifying the networking for introverts. Then we're going to talk about the truth about career growth, the truth about the job market right now, and why networking is so important these days, why it's crucial. Yes, Jolie, to your question, this will be recorded. So demystifying networking is the next topic. We're going to talk about what networking is, what networking isn't, and go on to the tactics and strategies for networking. And then finally, I'll give you a networking challenge and we'll have a Q&A session. But, if you have questions in the meantime, I'll also drop them in the chat so that we can get to them, hopefully address them as many as we can. But let's get started. We have a lot of material to cover, so let's get started. At some point, you'll probably see me grabbing my water bottle just to make sure that my voice cords are nice and moistened. So yeah, let's get to it. All right. Let's get started with, hi, I'm Masha, and I am an incredibly shy introvert. I remember the dread of just social activities and having to meet new people, especially whenever I went to networking events. Let me know in the chat if you relate to that, because networking events for me was just, my heart would stop. I felt like I was frozen the entire time. I was in the fight or flight response, and I was just like, how do I make myself as invisible as possible? But then I know my parents will ask me whether I made any connections, and then I'll be embarrassed. It was just a whole thing where I was like, oh my God, I need to network, but I also want to disappear. I want this chair to just something underneath this chair to the floor to drop so that I can drop with it. And yeah, I can see a lot of hermits are out there. People are terrified of online networking events. Oh my God, and offline ones. I know, meeting people in real life and really talking to them. Oh my God. But the thing is, things have changed. Now I network effortlessly, and it has opened doors for me, bringing opportunities my way and also helping me with my career growth. So that has been incredible. And I want to show you how you can do it as well, because you are an introvert and you have that superpower. So let's get into the introversion and all that stuff. I'm sure a lot of you know, that introversion spectrum, where extroverts are the social butterflies. They really get their energy from that social interaction. They crave that social interaction. They need that social interaction. While us introverts, and you can be wherever you are on that spectrum, right? But us introverts, we really need our alone time. And that room full of strangers, just even thinking about that drains our batteries. I don't know about you, but that's my thing. And I see a lot of people are relating to that. Networking is super hard. Yes, exactly, Carolina. So the thing is, as introverts, I want to talk about our superpowers. We are in the previous slide, it said that we relax when we recharge our batteries when we go into our minds. We really like deep connection, deep conversations. We go deep. That's our superpower. Yeah, Iren is happy in her little dark corner. I'm feeling tired already from thinking about that room, right? But we go deep. We go deep in our minds. We go deep in our friendships. We go deep in our conversations. Think about the conversation with some of your best friends. They go incredibly deep, incredibly, we hate small talk. We hate like superficial relationships. Like the social butterfly concept is tiring, right? It's not something that we want to do because we like to go deep, and that is a superpower. I will tell you why later on. Like I will show you how that connects with networking, but that is our superpower. Remember, we go deep, and um, we can use that power to our advantage. Um, and yes, to Heidi, like we not only do we sometimes have weird interests, we like really nerd out. Like we nerd out, we go deep. Okay, that's the keyword here. The quote that I wanted to share with you is this one. One of the things that we really dislike about these kinds of social situations is small talk. And I love this quote because it basically clarifies that we hate um, small talk, not because we hate meeting people or like we hate people in general. We hate small talk because it prevents us. It's like the social construct that we are used to. That when we first meet a person, we go into small talk. So it prevents us from, it creates a barrier between us and that person, between us going deep with that person in that relationship, in that interaction. Do you know what I mean? So that's very interesting. And yes, Jessica, you are in a meeting with your people right now. We're all hermits, we're all introverts. Like there's my little like cave over there where I kind of like wrap up with my blanket and just like, yeah. But agreed. Who invented small talk? It doesn't, I think extroverts invented small talk. So let's move away from small talk. We have a superpower and we need to harness it. Before we get into networking and how we can use our superpower in it, I want to tell you the truth about the job market and why networking is so important. The thing is, this is a graph from one of the most recent studies by with labor statistics by the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. And it shows the relative growth of job postings and just like in general, like new stuff coming out. And as you can see, it's really slowing down. This is showing that the job market is cooling off. There aren't as many jobs being posted as there were back in the day. Remember in 2020, we were all worried what was going to happen. And then all of a sudden there was like a huge tech boom. And then 2022 came around and it was like, hold my beer, let's do layoffs. So not funny, but that's what happened. I just like the hold my beer joke. But the thing is, it is much harder to find a job these days, especially as a career changer, than it was in 2020s. And some of the reasons for it are, at least in my opinion, first of all, layoffs, because there aren't as many jobs on the market to begin with, right? And then there's heightened competition because there aren't as many jobs in the market. The job market is cooling. Companies are becoming much more conservative when it comes to how many roles there are posted. It's just a fact of our current job market. There are less jobs being posted, new jobs being created. We're going through like a little downturn with that kind of thing. Then the other thing that I think has contributed to how difficult it is to find a job right now is the easy apply button on LinkedIn. Let me know in the chat if you've ever used the easy apply LinkedIn button. If you know what I'm talking about, I know I have used it in my job search so many times. And the thing is, it's so easy. It's like one click and you've applied. But if you think about it from the other standpoint, from the, I see, yes, people have used it. So you know what I mean? Oh, no results. Surprise, surprise, because it's so easy that, that employers get just blasted with the like with a volume of applications that they really can't sort through. And a lot of them, yeah, Wendy, more than I'd like to admit. Same thing here. But the thing is, I see it on the other side. So my husband does some hiring for his company. He like runs a tech organization, and I see the other side of it from his standpoint. He gets so many candidates, and a lot of them are really not qualified. So like by having this volume of candidates applying for those roles, we're kind of watering down this whole process. We're increasing the competition. And how on earth will employers be able to sort through that and find us? We are obviously qualified. We're obviously the amazing candidate, but like, how are they going to find us? Right. So a lot of companies use applicant tracking systems these days in order to find the right candidates, in order to sort through automatically using keywords, using machines that kind of like scan our documents, scan our resumes, and they're like, okay, this person's a good fit, this person is a bad fit. But guess what? Applicant tracking systems are not a perfect mechanism, because resumes are not a perfect mechanism. CVs are not a perfect mechanism to communicate your worth. You are so much more than your CV, so much more than your resume. And applicant tracking systems are looking for the exact fit to the job description. And let's be honest, most of the times, the best candidates don't fit the job description perfectly because they bring in other experience. They might be a career changer, and a lot of you might be a career changer. Let me know if you are a career changer and if you relate to that. Us career changers, I've recently gone through a career change myself. We don't fit the job description perfectly, but we have transferable skills that will make us incredibly qualified for this role. However, it is very hard to communicate to a machine that we are this amazing, these transferable skills will fill these gaps. But the machines are looking for 5 years in X. And if we don't have the 5 years in X, we're not going to pass through the applicant tracking system, right? Through those automated scans. So what do we do? Career changer and over 40, David. Good for you. That is amazing. That is where networking really comes in. Let me take a sip of my water and then we'll continue. I can see that Vanessa is also learning with the hope of changing. Oh, and Neil is on a 4th career change. Good for you. That's awesome. That's amazing when you can like learn new things and build up and just navigate, right? Like our parents' generation didn't have that opportunity. Career changer, 3rd time. Alexandra, good for you. That's awesome. I did not realize that there were so many of us who have changed, like reinvented ourselves, like evolved so many times throughout their careers already. That is amazing, because what you can bring to the table is just so much more than somebody with a linear career path. Another career changer, Diane just turned 60. Same here, over 40, and 2nd career change. Look at you guys. That's amazing. New mother studying for a career change and attempting a career change with a newborn. Oh my God. Yes. Okay, career changers. This is going to be very relevant for you. So the reason why networking is so helpful in this when it comes to your career growth, and especially for career changers, is, first of all, it helps you stand out from the crowd. We talked about how there's just so much competition, and making sure that you first communicate your value, but also that the company really tries to finds you as that diamond in the rough. The way to do that is through networking. The way to do that is through having someone at the company who can refer you, who can communicate that value for you, so that you get your foot in the door. When I was searching for jobs, I was trying to get any referral I could get. And I will tell you, the only interviews that I have received, okay, not the only, 95% of the interviews that I have received were from referrals. And some of those referrals actually came from the interviewing, like hiring managers, because they really liked me and I wasn't a great fit for this role, but they were like, oh my God, but I want you at the company. So like, I'll refer you for the next one. So it's all about referrals. It's all about getting your foot in the door. It's all about a person vouching for you internally, communicating your worth internally. That's what it takes. Because a lot of the times, there's this layer of applicant tracking systems, or maybe sometimes recruiters don't fully understand what a hiring manager is. So if you can get to the hiring manager, if you can get someone to communicate your value to the hiring manager, like this person is a career changer, and yes, they might not have as much experience in data science, let's say, but they also come from this industry. Let's say, I don't know, the restaurant industry. They have worked in restaurants for, I don't know, 10 years. So they know how it works. They know what their customers need. And so, they can be so much more effective at data science in our specific application, because they bring that foundation, and now they have these skills, and it's like the perfect marriage of all of them. So getting that information, communicating that to the hiring manager is key. Then networking can help you facilitate decisions, whether it is because people are human, right? And humans have a ton of biases, and one of them is recency bias. Hearing about someone, like someone is more top of mind, so you're much more likely to make a decision about whatever you're trying to make because this person just comes to mind. This person must be the person for the job. Right. So whether it is a hiring decision, right, they're deciding between different candidates and you popped up because somebody put in a word about you for you, or if it is a promotion decision within the organization, right? Let's say candidate, person X and person Y. Person X does an incredible job. They're a top performer, but they don't talk about it. They don't network within the organization, and nobody knows about what they're doing outside of just like plain metrics and like spreadsheets where their performance lays. And then person Y, who maybe doesn't perform as well as person X, but they talk about what they do. And not only that, they also strategically network with the manager of their manager, let's say, and they're friends with the manager of their manager. And when it comes for promotions, the manager of their manager knows that they're a good person, that they're performing, and like they have an established relationship. So who do you think will get the promotion? Person X or person Y? It's very likely that person Y will get a promotion, even though they're not performing as well, but they did some networking. So yeah, I have a course on how to communicate your value and how to get that professional recognition that you deserve. And I want to share some stats with you. So your performance contributes to 10% of your professional success. Then your image, which is part of your personal brand, contributes to another 30%. And then your network contributes to 60% of your professional success. So it is incredibly important. And then finally, in the same vein, people are the ones that bring you opportunities, because people that you network with might be in the rooms that you're not in, where strategic decisions are happening. And those strategic decisions can help you get your foot in the door with a project that like with a dream project, with a dream job. So people bring opportunities. If you are networking with key people and they are in those key rooms where decisions are being made and you're top of mind, boom, I don't need to explain what happens when that happens. So now that you understand the power of networking for your career growth, let's move on to what is networking. I'm sure that a lot of you, when you think of networking, you think of some like salesy, kind of dry thing. And that is not a surprise because this term was coined in 1985 in relation to sales. It was a sales technique, and that's how the terminology was born. And that is why we think of networking as this like boring old thing. And the fact that whenever you think about networking, you think of this kind of environment, this gives me just shivers, because I remember like all of those networking events that I have gone to, with those dusty tablecloths and somebody presenting slides and me thinking about how am I going to be as discreet as possible in the corner eating my little snack in the intermission when I should be networking, but I really can't bring myself to meet a new person and have that small talk. Yes, I see your question, Laiba. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. I see your question. We'll get to that. But that is a wonderful question. Thank you for asking. We'll get to that shortly. Now, what I want you to do is change your perception of networking from this room to this room, like a coffee shop, something that feels light, something that feels good, where ideas happen, where you have those engaging conversations that you can't stop. Like you can't stop talking to this person because it's such an interesting conversation. Like, we go deep, right? Glad I pronounced your name right. Thank you. Thank you for confirming. I want you to really imagine yourself in this kind of environment when you're thinking about networking. And, if you want to change the word for you, change it, because the thing is, networking is all about building relationships. It's all about going deep with the people that you are meeting, the people that you connect with, right? So if you want to change to like rebrand networking in your own head, do it, rebrand it, it can become making friends or building relationships. And every time anyone says networking in your brain, oh, building relationships, like connecting, deep connections. It's all about connecting with people. It's all about making those relationships. All right, 1 second, sip of water, and we'll get to your superpowers, your advantages when it comes to networking. We have already touched on the first one. We hate small talk, right? We like to go deep. We want to create deep relationships with people. So the thing is, that's our advantage. Because if you immediately go deep with a person, if you ask them a question when you first start, instead of like, where are you from? Or like, how's the weather? I saw that in the chat, like talking about the weather. Oh my God, kill me. If you ask them a question that goes deep straight away, that makes us more memorable. And, it brings us to that deep territory much quicker. And it's a way to stand out for them. Heidi says, there's also the fear of rejection if you try to go deep with them. That would be personally my greatest hurdle. Well, the thing is, in the tactics, I will propose for you to make a list of questions that go deep, but don't necessarily like ask them about, I don't know, like their relationship with their mother. Like, it doesn't have to be, it can go deep, but not personal, if that makes sense. Like, you can go deep and ask them about, like what excites them about their work right now, or something like that, which is way different than asking them, what do they work on? And I see there's some questions that are coming for later. Vanessa, what excites you about what you're working on right now? That is an example of a deeper question, because all of a sudden you have to stop, reflect, and think about what does it that excite you, and like that kind of excites you in the moment. So it's like a psychologically great technique to get that person to get excited, give them some pleasure, if that makes sense, give them some dopamine right there and then, and just ask them about something deep. Yeah, a question for later. How do we find the balance between being memorable versus overstepping, and being the weird person? Again, like, don't ask them personal questions. Don't ask them about their relationship with their mother, but ask them something like, create a list of questions that feel right, that don't overstep, that don't ask them about something very personal, but rather something that they're proud of, something that they're excited about, something that, like, because they're there for work, most likely. And you can ask them about that, but like going deep into that. And Heidi is talking about more in a way that the interests that I'm trying to find in common or discuss with them seem to them as weird and put them off. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. We'll get to that later on, now that I understand your question. So we'll get to that. Then the other superpower that we have as introverts is that we really listen. We go deep, and in order to go deep, we have to listen to what the other person says. So make sure that you use those active listening skills when you're networking, and really approach this conversation from a place of curiosity. Like really learning about this person, really learning about what makes them click, what gets them excited, and like listening for keywords that light them up. Heidi, this is to your point. I will expand on it later. And the other thing that we have going for us is that we create our connections are deep. Like whenever we build a relationship, it goes deep. We really want to understand and learn the other person. So take advantage of that. Build strong relationships with the people around you. Okay, so I'll take another sip of water, and then we'll get into some strategies when it comes to networking. All right, so the first thing is, partially to Heidi's point, is do your research. If you know who you're meeting, let's say you have been introduced to this person beforehand, and you know that you're going for a coffee meeting with this person, and you can look them up on social media or on LinkedIn, wherever, right? Do your research. Look them up. See what university they went to. If you can find their social media without being creepy, of course. Let's see, maybe they really enjoy the outdoors and they go hiking, and like you love that too. Like look for things that you have in common. Searching for those commonalities. And then if you can't research them beforehand, that the key here is to really listen, to ask that deep question and to really listen for certain keywords, and watching whether their face lights up, whether there's an energy that changes about them. Because when we talk about things that interest us, when we talk about topics that really get us excited, we get excited, right? And so I've done that many, many times. Like whenever I start a conversation, we're just like talking and I'm just asking questions. All of a sudden, there's like one networking call really stands out. This woman started talking about how she deeply cares about helping girls get into tech, young girls get into tech. And all of a sudden her face just changed. Her eyes widened. She got like excited. I could see it. I could feel the energy shift. So I knew that that is a keyword. That is a topic that she really cares about. And, if there is a match between what you care about, that is the perfect mix. For me, that is a topic that I really cared about. So we started talking about that. The thing is, your goal is to, in this first interaction, your goal is to just listen for those keywords, listen for those common interests. Because when you can also nerd out about the same topic, oh my God, you can create this electric conversation that makes you both like, I think of this Whenever I think of a coffee shop, I think of conversations that I can't stop. Like, I'm so enthralled in them. Like, it's like I'm in the flow. I don't want to leave this conversation. I'm having so much fun. There's this energy about it. It's electric, as I already said. And it's just like that. I don't know, like it's so cool. You're kind of sucked in. The thing is, you want to create those moments. And to create those moments, you need to listen for things that they're interested in and you're interested in. So Heidi, I hope that answers your question. Let me know. But essentially, you want to recreate those moments. And to do that, you need to listen for keywords. You need to, like, maybe you did your research and they really don't care about the university. Like, if you did your research on me, I went to a university in Scotland, St Andrews, and if you ask me about it, I'll be like, okay, cool. But if you start talking about the traditions at St Andrews, oh my God, then I will nerd out, and we can nerd out together about traditions, even if you didn't go to St Andrews, right? Like, just kind of asking questions about, like, deep questions about certain experiences and listening for those, like, keywords that light you up. That's very important. So Heidi, I'm glad that you found this informative. All right. And then the next thing that I want to talk about is understanding their goals. This is especially important if you are networking with people who are more senior than you. Let's say the manager of your manager. People like, people don't like to waste time. They always think about what is in it for me. And yes, you can have an exciting conversation and it just, like, it's electric and you have so much fun. But ultimately, what is in it for them? Because there's something in it for you, right? There's, like, you want to make a connection. So especially when their time becomes scarce with seniority, they really like, they're very strategic about who they have relationships with, because they also have their own goals, they also have their agenda, and they're probably trying to network with their seniors, right, to push their careers ahead. So really think about their goals. Really think about how can you add value to them, and it can look different. It can take different shapes and forms. It can be something that's professional. Let's say in the manager of your manager example, thinking about what are their metrics. What are the goals that they have internally in the organization, and how can you help them with that? Or maybe, let's say that they need additional information, they need visibility into how your team is doing something, or how this project that you're part of, how that is moving. And you can provide that kind of insight, you can provide that kind of information. So that's a way to benefit them in a professional way, really thinking about how can you align their goals with your goals and showcase that you can help them, and also not just showcase, help them down the line. Because as we'll continue talking about it, networking is not just about the first connection, it's also about maintaining that relationship. So by helping them, you're furthering this relationship, you're furthering this connection, you're furthering their perception of you as someone beneficial in their lives. The other thing that you can do is also personal help. Let's say, I don't know, their pet is anxious and doesn't like staying alone. So you tell them about this, I don't know, bed or like a blanket or a toy that relieves anxiety in pets. And then you send them an article, or you get them this anxiety relieving thing. So you have helped them personally on a personal level, and every time they look at that blanket, they'll think of you, and that helps further the relationship as well. The thing is, like, humans really like being helped, and humans really like helping. So take advantage of that and help that person, help them in some shape or form. And a lot of the times, whenever you're talking about those deep topics, something will surface. So just listen for those opportunities to be helpful, to really understand their goals, whether they're professional or personal. And professional, you can do your research. That also is very helpful, especially when you can just understand their goals. And finally, be genuine, because people can read through you if you want something from them. So make sure that you're coming to this interaction from a genuine place, an authentic place of curiosity and an authentic desire to help them. Because otherwise people will read through you and they will see that you're just approaching it you're approaching it as a transaction. So don't do that. Come to the conversation, come to this interaction from a genuine place of interest and curiosity. Let me just look at the questions. So Heidi, you're so active. I love it. Another question, what if your personal interest pool is limited? Would that also limit how big of a network you can create? The thing is, we're so multidimensional that I'm sure that there's one thing that you will have in common with at least one person, with at least every person. However, sometimes I just realize whenever I'm networking with people, sometimes I just realize that it doesn't click, and that's okay. Like, that's fine. That is why you go to more people to find your people. Remember how somebody said in this chat that it's like we're in a meeting with our people. Guess what? I'm sure that there are at least 5 people that you can come away as friends in this chat. Sorry. So I had nuts earlier and I had a nut stuck in my throat. So we just prevented a big disaster. So the thing is, you're not going to get along with everyone. It's just normal. It's just fine. But then for that reason, you just go and try with other people. And that is absolutely fine. And the more you do it, Heidi, the more comfortable you will be with, first of all, doing this exercise and knowing that you have done this. And then secondly, the better will you be at connecting those dots. So just start, and no, it's not going to limit your network. I swear there's so many people who have so many different commonalities as you. Like, it doesn't have to be a commonality around the same hobby. Maybe, okay, this is just like a thing. Maybe somebody has a weird hobby, but your connection doesn't have to be over that weird hobby. Your connection can be over, I don't know, your love of food, or your love of Italy, or your desire to one day have a massive farm. I don't know. Like, there's so many different things that you can connect with. With people on. And Haley, what are you having a hard time figuring out what their goals are? Honestly, if you are, just ask them. Like, is there any way in which I can help you? Don't come in straight away with that, right? First, try to build a connection. But, at some point, just ask them, hey, like, I would love to help you. Like, is there anything that I can help? Whether it's professional or personal, just ask them. Again, come from a place of genuine desire to help them. Don't come to this as okay, how can I help you so that you can help me? No quid pro quo, genuine. Is there a best way to network, like in conference? So, okay, we're going to get to the tactics very shortly, but I would say, just honestly, in a conference, the best way to network is to like go to the person sitting next to you and ask them something that, like, where putting yourself and the other person in the same team, if that makes sense. So, like, you're in the same team about to listen to a workshop, and you can ask them something deep about this workshop, or something like, why did they come? Like, what are they hoping to achieve? Like, really putting yourself in the same boat, in the same team, really will help you break that ice and put you, like, not make you feel like you're on the opposite sides, but rather you're the same team, and like, let's get to know each other, and like, what are we about to experience? All right. Well, my new friends are, they're all here. what would be the best way to approach the people of interest that if you've never had contact with them, or it was minimal to begin with? I hope I'm not asking too many questions. You're asking amazing questions, so thank you so much. Best way to approach the people of interest you've never had contact with. So it really depends, right? It really depends. If you have someone in common, ask them to introduce you and make sure that you prepare. Like, that's the thing. If you know if you are specifically targeting to network with a person, do your research on them. Whether on social media or whether asking other people about them. Let's say it's like somebody within your organization. Ask them, ask somebody else about them. What do they like? What are their interests? Like, what are some really cool facts about them, so that you can use that as your entryway. If you don't have anything in common, let's say you're at a conference and you just heard them speak and you're like, I need to learn more about this person. I need to connect with them. Comment on their talk, or like really quickly check out their website and like just make a comment that goes deep, that isn't a small talk comment. Remember, you are a master. You're a superhero at going deep. You're the deep superhero. So just, yeah, like play it by ear and start small and then build on upon that. We'll talk about that shortly. And Corey, good advice, that realizing that you're not going to click with everyone and it's okay. Yes, absolutely. It is absolutely. Yes, keep on asking, Heidi. If there are international people, what should I do to open conversation? Same thing. It doesn't matter whether they're international or not. Just ask them a deep question. It is a way to get them to think. It is a way to get them excited about something. It is a way for them to reflect. It is a way for them to stop. That's the thing. Small talk happens on autopilot a lot of the times. And by asking deep questions, you are stopping there in their tracks and making them think. Vanessa, I'd find it awkward to just go up to someone and introduce myself. We'll also talk about that very shortly. All right. Do you have any tips for anyone who's already worn out after the first hour of a 3-day networking conference? My advice for you is, honestly, don't overextend yourself and go deep. That is when we relax. That is the first thing. And then the second thing, create, like, if you go to conferences like that a lot, like I'm going to San Francisco, not to a conference, but the first time I'm meeting my team next week. And I know that it will be overwhelming. The first day is going to be overwhelming with social activity. I'm going to meet so many new people, or at least people that I've worked with, but like all of a sudden we're making connections in a new way. And it's going to be a lot of a lot of butterflying between people. So I know that I'm going to have to hermit in my hotel room that night. Like, create routines that help you decompress. That's the way. Like, decompress, relax your batteries. Maybe it's like you have a little tradition of getting room service in your hotel, and you just like lay there and watch your favorite show, and that's how you decompress. Like, create routines for yourself so that you can decompress. Okay, I'm just reading some comments. LinkedIn is a great spot to connect and network for sure. I just had a thought of reading other questions, but is reaching out to people in companies, like someone who is pretty much a presenter for an organization in the industry you have an interest in, as work well, like conversing with people online forums? I am not sure what this question means. But I'm also realizing that we need to proceed with the materials in order to finish them all. But just a quick answer to that, and then I'll continue with the materials, and we'll get to the rest of the questions and Q&A if you guys don't mind, just because I have much more to present to you, and I want to make sure that that we cover it all, so that your questions come from all the different places. So reaching out to a person, that you look up to, let's say in your industry. The thing is, a lot of the times, those people have a lot of people wanting to reach out to them, and a lot of people reach out to them with small talk and like all those kind of things. So really think about that. Really think about how can you create a deep entrance, whether it's researching them, whether it's reading their book and making a very like deep and insightful comment and question and like that. That's the thing. Like, you want to make sure that you want to stand out in how you reach out to that person, and you have the superpowers to do that because you go deep, you really think, you're really curious. So just use those superpowers to create a very deep entrance. All right, okay, next slide. And James, I can see your question, how to overcome fear. I will get to all of the questions starting from that one a bit later. I got a little too carried away. So let's talk about tactics. We've already covered this, but really prepare your go-to opening lines. Small talk sucks. Let's not go to small talks. Create a list of questions, of opening lines, of, those deep questions that make them stop and reflect, that ask them about something deep about them and not something super personal. Again, like nothing about family. Like, don't ask them about their relationship with their mother. Like that could be traumatizing. That could be triggering. Who knows, right? So just something deep, something that makes them reflect, something that stops them, something that makes them think and makes them process certain things. And if it is related to something that excites them, that is brownie points, because then they associate that exciting feeling with that question and with you. So that's good psychologically. We like that. It will help you stand out from the crowd, right? When they're remembering after the 3 days of conference, they will start remembering you as one of the most interesting. They will still remember that interaction, and it will help you brand yourself as an interesting person. So they will remember you as an interesting person because you asked them an interesting question that made you reflect. Then connect over something in common. We already talked about this, right? Like, and it doesn't have to be something professional. It can be your love for dogs, or like your deep need to help a cause, or maybe you nerd out about something, right? Like, just listen for those keywords and really create that electric, deep conversation. And if it's not clicking, it's not clicking, right? That's the thing. And then finally, follow up. We all have this curve of forgetting. It starts the moment you leave the interaction, the person will start forgetting about you. It's just a reality. That's why repetition is key to learning anything, because we have that curve of forgetting. The moment we read something, we learn something, we start forgetting it until we repeat it. So there's this whole thing about interrupting the curve of forgetting. So interrupt their curve of forgetting by following up, and follow up as soon as you can, so that it's still fresh on their minds. Reference the conversation that you had, and if you want to further the relationship, send them something. Let's say like an article about dogs, like about anxiety soothing toys or something like that. Send them an article or resource that could be helpful. Or if you've already identified how you can help them, or you went back to your hotel room, you're getting that takeout, and you're reflecting on your conversation, and you realize that maybe there's a very easy solution to the problem that they have, and you can offer it to them. Oh my God, major bonus points if you can help them in that follow-up. When it comes to strategic networking, first things first is, addressing the question about who should you network with. The thing is, researchers have found that the most powerful networks, or the most successful people, have a breadth of connections. They have connections with people in different circles. So go outside of your circle. And that circle could be your team, your friend group, your company, your industry, right? Think about who can you go outside of your circle. Think of your circle right now, who it is, and start building from there. And it can be, okay, your circle is your team and your manager. Okay, so then we need to go outside and network with some cross-functional team members, cross-functional stakeholders, the manager of your manager, or people on their level. You can go further and further and further. Start small, get comfortable with your skills and this whole procedure, and then build from there. Once you're pretty comfortable with your circle within your organization, let's say you've networked with people like two levels above you, and not just vertically but also horizontally, like diagonally, horizontally, like however you visualize that. Then start going outside of your industry. Or if you want to start outside of your industry, or outside of your company, start there. Like whatever feels more low stakes, start there and then build the stakes up. We'll talk about that in a second. Keeping records is very important because that is how you're going to remember your network. But also the key is not only to keep their name and email, but also remember what is it that you have in common, right? That interest. And also some random facts like their pet's name, their child's name, the date of their birthday, etc. If you can email them on their birthday and remember their birthday, oh my God, they will love you so much, because a lot of people, let's just be honest, as adults, we just don't remember people's birthdays anymore. And then cultivating relationships is all about staying top of mind, is all about checking in, every now and again, just sending an article being like, this made me think of you, or having recurring meetings. With some of my friends, I have recurring monthly calls where we just talk and bring each other thoughts and opportunities and things like that. So you can also get something recurring scheduled on the calendar. For example, with the manager of your manager, you can have like a biweekly or a call once a month where you can catch up and you can provide the information that they need, etc. So make sure that not only are you focusing on building those relationships like at the start and that first interaction, but also cultivating them. And we as introverts excel at that because we want to go deep with those people. So maintain that deep connection with these people. Let's talk about setting networking goals. So I talked about setting a precedent and going small. If you attended my my workshop last week about confidence, you will know that confidence is all about precedent, creating a precedent of doing something and focusing on that precedent as a reminder that you can do it, and then building that precedent. So the precedent can be as small as you want, and you can start by setting a very low stakes precedent. Let's say you have a friend and they have a friend. You've never met that friend's friend, and you can say, hey friend, can you introduce me to your friend? And do all of these networking things, overcoming fear and like trying to honestly test these strategies with the friend of the friend before you go to someone who is, I don't know, more important to your life and career. So that you can focus on this precedent, on how it went with your friend to move up from that. So start small. Start by setting smaller networking goals, focusing on working through the aspects of networking that you dread the most. Let's say focusing on approaching strangers, right? Go to a networking event and have a list of opening lines and just go approaching to strangers, setting your goal, your networking goal, just to say that opening line. That's it. Say that opening line, and then you can just like, bye, run away, honestly. But that learning how to break the ice, or just like focusing on showing up and asking that thing. And then you can be like, okay, good to see you. Bye. And never see that person again. Start by overcoming your fears by just setting your goal to show up, and then build from there. Small steps, digestible steps, building that precedent little by little and little by little. But if you don't address the things that you really dread about networking, you're not going to improve over time as quickly as you will if you do proactively address those things. Like, a lot of you have asked questions about the things that you dread the most, right? So you already know what it is that you dread. So think of a very low stakes way to test it and to practice it. And my networking challenge for you. I know we have only 3 minutes left. We did a lot of Q&A in the middle, so we'll get to that. We'll get to maybe answering a few more questions. But my networking challenge for you is to, this week, reach out to some friends or colleagues and create a list of 3 people that you should meet. And it could be, like one person per friend, per colleague, or just like ask them for a list of 3 that you should meet and make your pick. Essentially, I want you to go away with a list of 3 people that you need to meet. And these people are not necessarily strategic people, like the manager of your manager, right? Like that have influence over your career. Right now, we're starting small with a friend of a friend kind of person. Next week, so the week of September 25th, I want you to reach out to them, set up meetings with them, or ask your friends to introduce you so that you have something on the calendar, and research them. Do your research. And the following week, I want you to meet up with those people, or whenever you set those meetings, and start building those 3 those genuine relationships, really practicing the different strategies and tactics that we talked about today, and creating records, following up, all that stuff, like practicing that muscle for yourself. All right. You will be able to see this in replay, so you can come back to this, but for now, we are done with the materials with 2 minutes left. So William, if you want to come back, let's take some more questions, because I know we don't have that much time and we have a lot of questions.
Thanks, Masha. We're definitely not going to get cut off, so don't worry. We've still got time. Okay, cool. Also, thank you so much for the presenting, but also for the practical steps. I think that's awesome, because that really gives people a pathway for the next couple of weeks. And also, thank you so much for the audience for all the questions. Keep them coming in. Yes. I've got a couple of questions whilst watching, and I was just thinking, if you're working for a company and you happen to be in a team of extroverts and you're an introvert, is there kind of like a space where you can actually tell the team, or would you tell certain members of the team maybe that you're an introvert? I'm just thinking about when you're joining a new company, or for somebody joining a new industry like tech.
I am very proactive about telling people that I'm an introvert, just because then they know how to work with me and how to approach me. So I think that transparency is very important. But of course, this can come down to personal situations and personal circumstances. But for me personally, I tell people, and especially in tech, there are a lot of introverts. It depends on the kind of team that you have. Like, for example, in sales, certain roles attract different types of people. In sales, you're more likely to be an extrovert, right? So my answer is, it depends.
Yeah, awesome. And then also, I'm thinking about the kind of networking spaces that you can go to, and maybe you might be a little bit intimidated to go to some of the big ones, as you mentioned. Would it be better to first to pinpoint some smaller events and build from small to like the larger conferences, or?
100%. It's all about setting precedent, right? So smaller conferences, smaller events, and maybe at first it can be an event that's not strategic to your career. It could be, I don't know, around your hobby, right? Like, your networking skill doesn't only have to live within your career domain. Let's say you love knitting and there's like a knitting people unite event happening next door or in your town. Go there and start practicing your networking muscle there, and then build from that.
Awesome, great advice. I'm going to switch to the questions quickly. I see them coming through. A great question from Heidi, and I think something about introverts also meeting new people is body language. And Heidi's asking, how important is appearance? I happen to be a woman who covers. Would that deter people from trying to further connect?
The thing is, okay, yes, appearance is important because we make shortcuts in our brain regarding who this person is, right? But if you approach this person from a very open place and make them make them really reflect and think about with your opening line, nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to care. So just remember that, yes, there might be some, some, I guess, stereotypes, right, that come into play based on how you are dressed, based on how you look, like whether you're covering or whether you have bright pink hair. Like, there are different things that come to mind. So just, win them over with your question, with your opening line.
Fantastic. And just going back to a previous question, and apologies if I pronounce anyone's name wrong, Rakshanda is asking, the tactics and strategies you shared are very helpful. I was wondering if you have any advice specific to the nuances in the tech industry.
Mm-hmm. I would say, the thing is, in tech industries, we have more things in common and more things to nerd out on. And if anything, I think that networking in the tech industry gives you a leg up in terms of finding commonalities. However, people are people. And these strategies that I've shared will work with anyone regarding of their industry. So I would say in tech, just honestly, like that gives you a better way to find commonalities. But I wouldn't say that tech people network differently, right? They have different events, right? But they're still people.
100%. And do you think sometimes if you're interacting with people in tech, when you say go deep, sometimes would it be better to talk about some of the issues that you encounter or some of the barriers or some of the problems that you're having on a specific, I don't know, if you're going to an event full of UX designers, you might start talking about problem, and that could be a commonality between the two sides?
For sure. Right. Like there's the whole, there's so many different things that UX designers, for example, can kind of, I don't want to say complain to each other about, but find a commonality of like camaraderie, of, okay, yeah, these people don't understand us, or it's difficult to navigate all of these different stakeholders or something like that. So yeah, for sure. Like you can go into problems, but you can also go into, the exciting stuff about like new developments in technologies or something like that, and nerd out about that, like generative AI. Oh my God.
You're definitely going to kick off a discussion with that topic.
Yes.
At the moment. Alexandra is also asking a couple of questions which I think are super important. How different are networking strategies from culture to culture? And do you have any recommendations or sources to read about different cultures and networking?
Ooh, phenomenal question. And I'm not necessarily prepared with resources, but I do know that there are cultural differences for sure that need to be taken into consideration. I am not the best person here. So there's this book. Okay, I do have a resource that can lead you to other resources. And it also talks about body language. That would help, with Heidi's question. So there's this book by Vanessa Van Edwards. It's called Cues, and it's fantastic. It talks about body language and how we can kind of communicate and how we can kind of read what other people are thinking, essentially. And it talks about the cultural differences at the end. Because, the way societies work and the way there's like a hierarchy in societies will be different in different cultures. And I can't speak to that just because I don't have enough knowledge of that. That's why I'm avoiding answering the question directly, because I just don't want to give you the wrong information. But I would recommend reading that book. And I remember at the end of the book, Vanessa Van Edwards talks about some of those differences and provides further resources.
Great answer. And also to answer the previous question about networking in tech, I'm just going to post a link on Big Marker to a previous event that we did with a career specialist from CareerFoundry. And the topic was how to network in tech in 2023. So maybe if anyone's interested, you can just check that out there. Just going back to the questions again, I think this is a great question also coming through from Heidi. Where can we find local events to practice networking? So where is actually a good place to find events?
Oh my God. First of all, Heidi, you queen of questions. I love that. I love how active you are. But what was like, I'm blanking right now. Was it meetup.com? That's the platform, right? That a lot of meetups happen on.
I think I don't know if it's different in the US. I mean, we've got Eventbrite over in Europe. I'm trying to think of a couple of others. I mean, there are some which are specific just to UX design. Sometimes there are some which are specific to groups.
Yes, 100%. I mean, Facebook groups would come up. I'm sure there are lots of communities that you can find on either Discord or Slack, but meetup.com, I know that I swear I have seen meetups, even like when I was a digital nomad living in Chile and I was looking for networking opportunities. So I'm pretty sure I went on meetup.com and I even found some meetups through that. But honestly, just Google your market and Google networking events or like group communities, and it will show a bunch of different things. But check out meetup.com. Because they might be like a great starting place that like sparks some ideas.
I think some of the audience are backing that up. Meetup and Eventbrite. Go to check out local events in your area. And actually, let's just quickly pick up on that topic too, because I know that tech offers a lot of opportunity to work remotely, work as a digital nomad. Do you think it's different actually being an introvert and trying to network when you're a digital nomad as opposed to working for a company based in one location?
Yes, for sure, because the human interaction is completely different, right? Because we're either, behind a screen right there, or we're in person. And to be honest, for me, in my introversion situation, I actually find it easier to connect with people like this because like my personal space is much more protected, but it could be different for other people. It just requires a different set of skills because here you don't see the body language as much, right? Like you see shoulders upwards. But when you're in a social setting, you see that. But in social settings, people's focus is not as focused on you, right? So like they're just different variables that you're working with. And my advice to anyone who wants to build their networking skills is to, again, like focus on what you suck at the most, for the lack of better terminology. Just like start with where, like what is the most scary aspect of networking, and the mode of networking that you probably suck at the most, and then build from there. But starting small. Start
small, people. Great.
Yes.
Going back over, Jessica's reposting a question from Corey. Apologies to Corey if I missed that. Corey said, when I'm at a networking event, I often feel like I'm unconvincing someone or taking someone's valuable time away from talking with some important people. Do you have advice on how to combat that? So the feeling that you're taking someone's time, I suppose.
I mean, I'm going back to commonalities and interest. The other thing that I didn't really touch upon, I was planning to, but I completely got, my brain completely forgot about this. But if you're letting the person talk about themselves, right? If you're asking questions, if you're try to do the least amount of talking that you can do, the better, because people love talking about themselves. And if you give someone an opportunity to talk about themselves, that is a wonderful way to benefit them. I don't know, like that is a wonderful way to give them something in their lives, and they will be very grateful for the opportunity to talk about themselves or to talk about their interests, right? And at the end of the day, like we talked about goals and helping them out, like it's all part of this equation. So you're not taking away any of their time if you are approaching this conversation from a place of, let me find a way for them to talk about themselves. Let me find a way for us to connect on something that we can nerd out on. And how can I help this person? Like, let's look for opportunities.
100%. I think for anyone watching on any of the channels, if you want more advice from Masha Stereotype Breakers, do check out Masha's Instagram account, Stereotype Breakers, but also check out her YouTube channel too. There's lots of great content over there. And also anyone thinking about career change into tech or anything about that, do also check out the CareerFoundry blog. We've got some specific articles on, programs and stuff, but we've also got some more general articles on networking, also AI, ChatGPT, all kinds of things. So we've got a team of editors running stuff, so do check out that too. I'm going to take a couple of more questions. I know I'm mindful of the time. I don't want to run over for too long. Let me just have a look over on the right-hand side. Can we network with you, Masha? I'm leaving that question there for you, Masha. The audience is asking whether we can network.
For sure. You can find me on my Instagram, Stereotype Breakers, and my YouTube channel. You can contact me through DMs. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. And Wendy's asking, what if you're just starting your career in tech? How do you know how do you know who to network with?
That's a great question. So, I mean, as you're starting your career in tech and you're researching the field that you want to succeed in, once you've built that networking muscle to the place where you're confident and start networking with the key strategic people, just, research who are the people that are doing the most interesting things to you right now. Because let's say that you're in UX design. Let's research people who are putting out the new tools or who are talking about groundbreaking stuff, like read their articles on Medium or LinkedIn or whatever, follow them and start interacting with their content and reach out to them with a genuine, curious inquiry or question, something deep, right? But the way to find the key people is by doing your research, really understanding the landscape of the industry, the landscape of the field that you want to be in. Of course, there will be very easy targets within your organization, right? People who are more senior than you, who will be strategic people to network with. But honestly, just follow your curiosity at first and connect with people who do things that light you up, so that you can nerd out about those things together, because clearly they're doing it out of passion, out of interest. And if you're interested, oh my God, that's the perfect fit. That's to Heidi's question about finding commonalities.
I think that's fantastic advice. I think that goes for anyone at any stage of studying, learning, career. Follow your passion and interact with people that you find inspiring, because I think if you're inspired and you're watching them and they're inspired and you have a dialogue, it's going to be inspired too. So I think, Masha, we should end it there. I think that was a great way to end it. Masha, thank you so much for presenting this evening. Again, as I said earlier, if anyone's interested to see more about Stereotype Breakers, do check out Masha's Instagram, Stereotype Breakers, and also Masha's YouTube channel. Great resources. Also, for anyone out there who's interested in a career change into tech and is thinking about CareerFoundry, I'm just going to post a link to our short courses. These are free, completely free, 5 or 6 day short courses where you can have a look and see what we're doing. We've got 6 different programs. So UX design, UI design, web development, data analytics, digital marketing, and product management too. So you get a free 5-day short course. And if you want to take the deep dive and do one of our full programs, we are currently offering a partial scholarship, a Women in Tech scholarship. And all you have to do to claim that is book a call with a program advisor. And I've added a little sticky note on the right-hand side on Big Marker. I know the team of program advisors. If you've got any questions about the CareerFoundry curriculum, jobs in your locality, or maybe even networking as an introvert, I'm sure they'll be happy to further talk about those with you this evening or this morning, wherever you're joining from. Audience, thank you so much for joining this evening or this morning, wherever you're based. And Masha, thank you once again for presenting. I think that was a fantastic presentation and lots of valuable insights. So thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you to everybody watching this and participating, asking all these amazing questions. You helped make this webinar much more valuable to everybody involved. So thank you. And I hope this helps you with your networking strategies.
100%. So everyone go out there and remember, you've got an action plan now. We're going to send the recording round tomorrow. So you've got an action plan for the next 2 or 3 weeks. So get involved and good luck networking. All right. See you all next time. Thank you so much.